Hey guys, this is AV Tech, and today we're going to be looking at the Moto X 2014, 6 months later. Last year's Moto X is solidly built. Its body is reinforced with metal sides where the power button and volume rocker rest. The power button has a rich texture, so when you put your finger on it, you know it's the power button and not the volume rocker. Initially, when I got the phone, the buttons were very tactile. They still are today, except sometimes the volume up button gets really mushy. On the front, what looks like two speakers is really just one. The top grill is the handset earpiece, and the bottom one is a speaker. Also infrared sensors on the front, but those are only visible on the white front panel. Motorola decided to take a slightly different approach to the 2014 Moto X than it did for the 2013 one. The 2014 Moto X has more up-to-date specs. The newer Moto X packs a Snapdragon 801, 2GB of RAM, a 5.2-inch 1080p OLED screen, a 13-megapixel camera with ring flash, and a 2300 mAh battery. The OLED screen is very vibrant and saturated, and it comes at 423 pixels per inch. However, some people prefer panels that aren't as vibrant, such as LCD. Outdoors, the Moto X provides less than adequate viewing. The brightness isn't that high, so when used outdoors, it's not easy to see. The battery life for the Moto X lasts about a day with moderate use. I usually get around 4.5 hours of screen on time, which is pretty mediocre. Although not eye-popping, these specs are pretty high-end back in September 2014. After 6 months, the Moto X continues to perform like the high-end phone it was made to be. Here's the Moto X's curve alongside the Nexus 5, and the 5.2-inch display next to the Nexus 5's 5-inch display. The curve feels great when holding the phone, although it may annoy people who use their phones on tables or desks. Next up, let's talk about the camera. Motorola decided to add a ring flash module around the camera to improve the flash. In my time using this phone, I haven't really noticed the difference that it makes. They also added a gesture where you can shake the phone twice to open up the camera. The camera itself is decent. At times it provides great shots, and other times the shots it produces leave something to be desired. In low light, the pictures it takes are awful. You always need flash in low light situations. Motorola also decided to include 4K video and slow motion video. The camera app itself remains very simplistic and has not changed much despite being updated to Android 5.0 Lollipop, which I'll get to later. Now, arguably the most important part of the Moto X design is the ability to customize it the way you want. Motorola is still offering the service known as Moto Maker, where you can choose between several different colors for a plastic back, a leather backing, or even wood. It will also allow you to choose between black and white for the front and several other colors for its trim. You can even engrave a personal message onto the Moto X back if you desire. Now let's get to the software side of things. The Moto X is currently running Android 5.0 Lollipop. The phone I currently have is the Pure Edition, so it gets updates much quicker than the other carrier branded ones. Lollipop got to this phone within 1 month for me, and I was impressed that Motorola kept its promise on delivering quick software updates. With the Snapdragon 801 and 2GB of RAM, the Moto X flies through daily tasks and continues to run smoothly on Android Lollipop. This phone runs a stock version of Android, but Motorola decided to throw in some of its features. First one is Moto Display, a screen that shows only the pixels for the time and notifications. This is where the OLED technology is useful, since only the white pixels light up to save battery life. The infrared sensors that I talked about earlier come to use because you can wave your hand over the phone to bring up the screen. Motorola added a feature known as Assist, where it can silence the phone when you sleep, and when you're in your car, it can read your notifications to you. Motorola also added a feature known as Moto Voice, where you can customize a phrase such as, "Okay, Moto X," and it will obey your commands. What's up?
Hello Anirudh, the time is 10:46 a.m. Nothing much going on right now.
This feature can be accessed even when your phone is sleeping. 6 months later, the Moto X still performs on par with other high-end phones. Right now, Motorola is selling this phone for $399 off contract, $100 less than it originally was. If you like stock Android with these Motorola features, and you can live with subpar battery life and a decent camera, this is the phone you should buy. Thanks for watching, and we will see you guys in the next video.